What if the resurrection of Jesus wasn't the first time a god conquered death? Thousands of years before Christ, in Egypt and India, other deities died and came back to life. Same pattern, same promise, different names. Is this just coincidence? Or is there something the world's religions never fully explained? Why the universe keeps telling the same story of death and rebirth? There's something hidden in plain sight across every major religion on Earth. A pattern so powerful that cultures separated by oceans and centuries all discovered it independently. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Let me start with the question, what if death was never meant to be an ending? In Hinduism, there's a god who terrifies people at first glance, Shiva, the destroyer. But here's what most people miss completely. Shiva doesn't destroy out of anger or chaos. He destroys what no longer serves the universe. He clears away the old so the new can emerge. His destruction is actually the highest form of cosmic love. The Hindus understood something profound that many Western traditions forgot along the way. Creation and destruction are not opposites. They're dance partners in an eternal cycle that never stops moving. Shiva performs the Tandava, the cosmic dance where entire worlds end and begin with every sacred movement. And this dance isn't just happening out there in distant galaxies. It's happening inside you right now, this very moment. Every belief you outgrow is Shiva dancing within you. Every toxic pattern you release is sacred destruction, making room for your spiritual evolution and growth. Think about your own life for a moment. Close your eyes and reflect. How many times have you felt like something inside you had to die before you could move forward? That relationship that ended painfully. That job you lost unexpectedly. That version of yourself you had to leave behind forever. Those weren't just difficult moments. Those were sacred initiations into a higher version of yourself. But here's where it gets truly fascinating, because the same exact pattern shows up in ancient Egypt thousands of years earlier. And when we connect these dots together, something extraordinary begins to reveal itself about the nature of all spiritual truth. I need you to stay with me through this entire journey, because what we're about to uncover might completely transform how you understand spirituality and your own sacred path. Take a deep breath right now. Ask yourself honestly, what part of your life is asking to be transformed today? What if Osiris discovered the secret of eternal life before any other religion? Long before the pyramids reached their full glory, the ancient Egyptians worshipped a god who held the key to immortality. His name was Osiris, and his story contains one of the most powerful spiritual teachings humanity has ever recorded in stone and sacred text. Osiris was the beloved king of Egypt, a god of life, fertility, and abundance. But his own brother, Set, burned with jealousy and dark ambition. Set betrayed Osiris in the most brutal way imaginable, murdered him, and scattered his body in pieces across the entire land of Egypt. It seemed like the ultimate end, the final defeat from which no return was possible. But Isis, the devoted wife of Osiris, refused to accept death as final. She searched everywhere with relentless determination, gathering each piece of her husband's body with unstoppable love and sacred devotion. And through divine ritual and supernatural power, something miraculous happened. Osiris was reborn, not as a living king walking among mortals, but as something far greater. He became the Lord of the afterlife, the judge of souls, the one who grants eternal life to those who pass the final test. Do you see the pattern emerging clearly now? Betrayal, death, complete dismemberment, and then, against all odds and expectations, resurrection into something more powerful than what existed before. This story was carved into Egyptian temples more than 3,000 years before Jesus walked the earth, and yet, the core message is strikingly and undeniably familiar to anyone who knows the Christian story. The Egyptians weren't just telling entertaining myths to pass the time. They were encoding profound spiritual truths into stories designed to survive across countless generations. They understood that the journey through death and into rebirth is the central mystery of all human existence. And this mystery lives inside you right now. Every time you've been broken by life, and somehow found the strength to put yourself back together, you've walked the ancient path of Osiris, Think of a time when you felt completely shattered, when it seemed impossible to continue, and then remember how you rose from that experience transformed. Hold that memory sacred, because what we're about to explore next reveals why Christianity carries this exact same truth at its very heart. How Christ's resurrection connects to an ancient universal truth. Now, we arrive at the story that shaped Western civilization forever. Jesus Christ, crucified on a cross, buried in a stone tomb, and 3 days later, risen from the dead in glory. This is the unshakable foundation of Christian faith, the singular event that promised salvation and eternal life to all of humanity. But what if this sacred story is connected to something even larger and more ancient? I want to be absolutely clear about something important. This isn't about diminishing anyone's faith or questioning sacred beliefs. It's about expanding our understanding of how divine truth has revealed itself throughout the entire span of human history. Consider carefully what we've discovered together on this journey. Osiris died, was lovingly reconstructed, and became the Lord of eternal life. Shiva destroys and recreates in endless cycles of cosmic renewal and transformation. And Christ conquered death itself, offering resurrection and salvation to all who believe in his name. 3 different traditions from 3 different continents, thousands of years separating their origins. And yet, the same sacred architecture stands at the center of each one. This pattern isn't random coincidence. It's divine revelation speaking through different voices. Perhaps there's a truth so fundamental to existence itself that every culture, in every era, eventually touches it in their own way. The truth that death is not destruction. Death is transformation. Death is the sacred doorway to something infinitely greater. When Christ rose from the tomb, he demonstrated what Osiris and Shiva had been pointing toward all along, that the divine principle of death and rebirth is woven into the very fabric of reality itself, and that this principle lives within every human soul, waiting to be awakened. You are not separate from this mystery. You are living it every single day. Every ending you've survived, every loss that somehow became growth, every dark night that eventually gave way to morning light. These are your own personal resurrections. Right now, place your hand on your heart. Acknowledge every death you've walked through in your life, and recognize the strength that brought you back each time. If these connections are awakening something new in your soul, consider sharing this video with someone who needs this message today. The deepest revelation is still ahead. Why this sacred pattern is living inside you right now. We've traveled through ancient Egypt, across the mountains of India, and into the heart of Christianity itself. We've witnessed gods die and rise again across thousands of years and countless miles of human experience. And now, the most important question of all remains unanswered. What does this mean for your life? Here's the truth that changes everything once you truly understand it. This pattern of death and rebirth isn't just ancient mythology from dusty books. It's the fundamental rhythm of existence itself, pulsing through all creation. Every sunset and sunrise is this mystery in motion before your eyes. Every seed that falls into dark soil and emerges as new life is this principle made visible in nature. Every breath you release and take in again is a tiny death and resurrection happening inside your body right now. The ancients weren't making up fairy tales to entertain themselves. They were describing reality at its deepest and most sacred level. And this is precisely why understanding this truth is so transformative for your spiritual evolution. Because when you recognize that death and rebirth are natural parts of the sacred cycle of existence, you stop fearing change. You stop resisting transformation with all your might. You start embracing every ending as the beautiful beginning of something new and more aligned with who you truly are. Osiris teaches you about reconstruction after being completely broken. Shiva teaches you about liberation through releasing what no longer serves you. Christ teaches you about redemption, hope, and eternal life. Different names from different cultures, but the same finger pointing toward the same eternal moon. The question now standing before you is this: what needs to die in your life so you can finally be reborn into who you're meant to become? What old identity, what limiting belief, What ancient fear have you been carrying that's keeping you from your next great evolution? This is your invitation, right here, right now. Comment the word reborn below if you're ready to step into your transformation. Tell me what you're ready to release. I want to hear your story. If this resonated with your soul, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications. Share this video with someone who needs to know that transformation is always possible. This journey is far from over.